We can't tell you who we are or where we live. It's too risky, and we've got to be careful, really careful. So we don't trust anyone, because if they find us, well, we just won't let them find us. The thing that you should know is that everyone is in really big trouble. Yeah, even you.
I'm Taylor,
I'm Casey.
and this is the Morphathon.
It's Morphin time!
Oh, I'm so excited we're finally doing this.
Oh my gosh. I've been trying to get the bibliomancers to read Animorphs for a while.
But you only managed to afford me
Yeah,
the
Gretchen and
discount.
Kayla were just not interested in reading 54 to 69 books.
They're always doing actual things, whereas I'm totally available to read all of these.
Hey, I had a busy schedule of watching other people play video games that I'm giving up with. So, I have a life.
But no, I'm totally supporting you in this Animorphs thing because I did not at all read all of them, but I was equally invested in the Del Toro Quest series, which was like
Oh my
even
God.
less read than Animorphs.
I read those!
Did
I
you?
loved those!
I read every single one and still actually
They
own
don't
them.
hold
though.
up at all. But we should do a series on those at some point that's not right now because we're doing Animorphs.
Yeah, but that
Oh,
can
yeah.
that can be the offshoot of this offshoot. But no, Animorphs, right
Stupid.
here,
Anyway.
episode 1.
Animorphs, I think, this is probably my 6th time reading it through, approximately.
Holy hell!
In about 13 years. I first read it in 5th grade. I
Mhm.
finished the series and started crying, bought all the books and started again because I was a cool kid. But yeah, it's not quite like Lemony Snicket where it gets more brilliant every time you read it,
Mhm.
but it holds up. There are parts where you're like, wow, that's really goofy. But then there's other parts that you really do appreciate more as an adult.
It's super goofy, but the thing I noticed and was like really appreciating as I read this was just it. It's a very compelling story.
Yeah, no.
Even as I was groaning over the super dated language.
Oh man, it's
Because
dated.
you do not realize that the 90s were such a different time when it came to speaking.
Oh man, yeah, that's a little rough. Visser 3, I think, is really hard to take seriously now, which they point out at the end of the series. But he's a little like invaded in his goofiness. Have you ever read anything? This was written the first 25, and I think like the last 5 to 10 were written by K.A. Applegate, who also wrote the one and only Ivan, which was like a big deal because it won an award. I thought it was okay.
I've never heard of that. And what do you mean only...
So
Some of these weren't written by K.A. Applegate.
correct. Well, these were written. The ones I just listed were written by K.A. Applegate and her husband Michael Grant. He wrote the
Okay.
Gone series, which was
Which
good.
series?
The first one's called Gone. Everyone over like 15 disappears from this town, and it gets kind of weird. It's good, but it actually gets too depressing and like an endless slog of misery, so I had to stop. But they're both very talented. But
Is that the one where they, like, books later realized that they left all of these newborn children in the hospital and they just died? Is that series?
it might be. I know for a while at least there are like 2 like 12-year-olds taking care of a bunch of kids, but they might let them die eventually.
No, I'm pretty sure this is the same series because they, like, find a ton of just dead children that were abandoned and no one found.
Dead babies. That's who's
Dead
bringing us this children.
The family who brought you dead babies brings you Animorphs.
That is not surprising at all, actually. But
Wow.
oh yeah, no, the middle books, which would be all the really stupid ones
Okay.
and all the filler, basically, Ka and her husband would write like an outline and then have ghostwriters do it, and you can sort of tell
Wow.
which ones are the ghostwriters they didn't invite back.
So this isn't like even a conspiracy, it's just they outsourced half of their series.
Oh yeah, well it was a book coming out every single month.
Was that it? I have no conception of how these were actually released.
Oh, you're gonna figure it out because the first chapter, or at least the first half of the first chapter, you're gonna skip the first 4 to 6 pages of every single book because
Mm-hmm.
it's literally just gonna be here's the
Recap.
plot, here's each character with their 3 defining character traits, and the end. So, yeah, it's very formulaic. Um, that's what I kind of like about this series. It's not like a series of unfortunate events, which like is brilliant. It's
Mm-hmm.
sort of like this series has no business being as good as it is. It should not be. It should be like Goosebumps. It should be fun and kind of mediocre and not something we should be talking about as grown-ups.
Yeah,
This
this
sort of is secretly really good.
and that's kind of what I wanted to get into discussing eventually, is just the realness of this series. That's how I want to put it, because this is, super 90s. It's just this book gets pretty real for like book
Oh,
1 of a 60 some book series.
oh yeah, it gets real dark.
It does not waste time.
So,
I
are we
assumed
going
that
to
this
try to avoid
oh
spoilers? Will I be biting my tongue, or should we warn people that there will be spoilers for this series?
oh no, there are going to be so many spoilers. There's no
Okay.
reason to hold back. These books
Okay.
are 100 pages.
Okay. My favorite, I don't remember when it is, but there is a point where Rachel gets her arm ripped off and then she beats someone to death with it. These are violent.
It does support my claim that Rachel is the best character.
Rachel is hands down, it's either her or Jake for the most well written character.
Hmm.
Weirdly, Rachel and Tobias tend to be the two most popular, which is odd because Rachel is really, really good and well done. And Tobias is just a whoopee. That's all he is.
He's the rebel, and he's the memorable one, because everyone who read like one book of Animorphs and then forgot about it, they still remember the Hawk Boy.
Yeah, he's the bird. He has a really weird backstory.
Yeah, they kind of start hinting at like he's the
Okay, yeah. If we're gonna
strained,
spoil it,
but
he's Elfanger's son.
really, you're spoiling that for me right now?
Oh my gosh, I thought you knew. I'm so sorry.
I thought we meant we were going a book by book spoiler.
I asked if we were spoiling the whole series. Okay.
I
So,
just assumed that was for future reference. Okay.
let's bleep that out. I'm so sorry.
No, no, no. Everyone's ruined now.
Oh my
We have a
gosh.
starting point.
Well,
That's
so
so
you'll
wild.
get to adventure to figure out how that happened. Um,
Yeah, I guess that's gonna be a trip.
so yeah, so Tobias is he's too well done to be a total Mary Sue, but he's about as close as the series gets.
He was the concept character, and then they just kind of phoned it in with his actual writing, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. That's why he and Axe,
Hmm.
except I think Axe is actually extremely well done, but there's only so much you can do with
Didn't he
it.
like eating cinnamon buns through his hooves? Wasn't
Yeah.
that was a thing?
Yeah. Oh, I know
Okay.
that. But the way it works is books 1 and 6, up until the end where everything falls apart.
Hmm.
They're in order. Books 1 and 6 are narrated by Jake. Books that end in a 5 and a 0 are Marco. 4 and 9 are Cassie. 2 and 7 are Rachel. Tobias gets 3 and Axe gets 8. So while the main 4 get
Okay.
2 books per 10,
Okay.
Axe and Tobias each only get 1 apiece, which is probably for the best. There's only so much. Is it Tobias or Tobias, by the way?
Tobias,
Okay, good.
you're
heard
fine.
both. But
Um,
yeah, there's only so much emo hawk you can really stand.
Right? Like,
But
again,
yeah,
he's the
stand him.
concept. Whereas it's very clear to me that Rachel has always been KA's favorite.
Oh yeah. I also don't think they intended Rachel or even Jake to end up the way they end up, which I won't go into because
Thank
I
you.
know
Wow,
very
that's so
listed about
considerate.
spoiling. But my favorite character is Marco, personally.
Really? Because
Um,
so his entire personality in this book is let's have just. He's like the really generic comic relief character.
It
He
does
just
start out
makes
that way.
dated references and like sure you need the reluctant character,
Hmm.
but
He's the Lancer.
he's just oh my
No,
god.
no, no. Without spoiling, wait. He gets so good.
Does he?
So I might be a bit
Okay.
biased because I believe he was my third crush after Joey Wheeler from Yu-Gi-Oh! And Bugs
Hmm.
Bunny.
Would you say
So,
you were a bit toe biased?
and that's the end. I hope you enjoyed our podcast. We're
We
done now.
we've been taken off the air.
Yeah, I'm gonna fire you from this. It'll just be me by myself, spoiling everything.
You can just read through each one and stop at times you want to say something. It could be your entire series.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is I do sort of admire the formula in that, and you're gonna see this in basically every book until it all falls apart.
Okay.
You get, this is Rachel. She is beautiful, likes fashion, and is a badass.
She's
This
the
is
most
Kathy.
special character, and the books will always tell you that.
Yes. And it's like, this is Marco. He's funny and short, and I don't remember what his other one is. It's either
His
annoying.
mom is dead.
Yes. Oh, it's that he's cute, but not as cute as he thinks he is. And
Yeah.
so, like, basically, Cassie is sensitive, loves animals, and is not very girly. And so it's like you
No.
get those, and the characters end up being much more than that. But if you have to distill them down to a couple traits for someone who, for some reason, decided to pick up book 42 and start reading,
Hmm.
you can go, "Oh yeah, okay, I know that character."
It doesn't ever, jump the shark like some series that go on this long do. I think it got weird.
Fans hate the series. Actually, they hate the end. Like, it
Really.
ruined it because it's too dark, and we will get there eventually. But yeah, the ending is pretty depressing, a lot. So, but there was such a backlash that Applegate actually wrote a letter to her fans explaining why it ended the way it did.
What?
Yeah, it's a great letter. We're gonna talk about it when we get to the end, if we ever get to the end. When we're 40.
We have to. I need to. If nothing else, I need to know the rest of this series.
Ah, yeah. So this is going to be interesting because you're going to be the voice of reason, and I'm going to be the voice of obsessive fangirlism. Everything is perfect.
Well, let's not get carried away. I'm certainly not going to be the reasonable one here, but I had I have a bit more distance from this than you. Like, I definitely read my fair share, and apparently I read very late in the series, but one of my most distinctive memories of lower school is, I used to have this friend. He was totally in the groups that were cooler than me, but we got along because we had similar interests, so we would occasionally hang out, and we both read Animorphs. And then, like, at the beginning of, like, you know, maybe third grade, I don't know, like, whatever grade it was, I was like, hey, like, you read the new Animorphs? He's like, no, I don't really read that anymore, and I kind of deflate. And I think that was when around when I stopped reading Animorphs.
Yup.
Of just this, oh, okay.
I mean, it's exhausting to try to keep up with every new book a month. First off, it's expensive, especially when you're in elementary school and have no money.
Hmm.
I think I don't think I read these until after they'd all come out.
I definitely only owned two of them, so I just got whatever the library happened to carry.
Yep, yep. None of them carry all of them.
Yeah.
You'd be lucky if you get a library system that carries all of them.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to read it, we can maybe include the link to that Richard's Animorphs forum. This guy, they're not great. He basically like typed up all the books in a Word doc, which holy crap, thank you for doing that. But that does mean there's like some formatting and
Hmm.
spelling errors.
It
But
works very well as an EPUB on my phone, and comes
oh,
with
good.
rudimentary voice text to speak
Yeah,
technology.
Awesome.
So I get Siri basically just reading me Animorphs in this horribly deadpan tone.
My name is Jake.
So she's like talking about the, Sega Genesis or whatever. Just this horrible colliding of technologies that should never have met in this way. But oh
There
man.
were there were some points in this where I wouldn't want it to be read in a deadpan. There's a point where Jake turns into a lizard and eats a spider, and it is genuinely
It's
one of the most horrifying things I have ever read.
I could deal with him eating it, but then it
Awful.
kicks in his stomach.
Right? It's just like you really went all
Yeah.
in describing that. And they mostly put kid gloves on for the violence in this book. It gets
Mhm.
a lot more disembowelment-y. Um,
Yeah.
but they're very gentle with the gore so far.
But not so much with the body horror.
No,
Like
no.
they fully describe the sound of like bones shifting.
Yeah, yeah. Morphing gets increasingly, yeah.
Traumatic, yeah.
It's disgusting and horrifying.
It's really thorough, I want to say, like with picking up the animals' thoughts and everything. It wasn't just, hey, wouldn't it be cool if kids turned into animals? They
That is
they went as far as you could go.
that is one thing I really like is they're not kids putting on animal suits, which logically would make
Hmm.
sense because we don't know how to fly. Like we don't know
Yeah.
how to control a bird body, but they also have the animal's body and instincts, which you could argue that they master those pretty quickly, but
Hmm.
I there are times when they don't.
Yeah.
Ant is really, really traumatic.
Okay.
Um,
Uh, don't
but
spoil that one for me.
I won't. But I like that. First off, everything I know about animals came from these books. The series was actually written because Applegate wanted to write a book about animals because she loves them. And then her husband was like, what if it was a sci-fi series? And then Animorphs was born.
Wow.
So you can tell that Applegate really likes her animal facts.
Mm-hmm.
All of mine come from this book, or these books. It's a little sad, actually.
Oh no, it's wonderful. Kay taught you something. Does she have like a presence on the internet still? Like, can we?
Most of what I'm getting came from an AMA she did on Reddit like a couple years ago. I want to say like 2011, 2012, when they were trying to reboot the series.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think she and her husband both have Twitters, which is how they squashed my dreams in 2015 of a movie being made. There was a
Well,
rumor, and then they both came on Twitter and were like, nope,
they
no
got
one.
Twitters just to shut you down.
Yeah. But um, Michael Grant said he was relieved. He said, I don't want to go into detail, but we don't want another instance of the show.
Yeah, so we don't really need to get into detail, but I did watch the first two episodes today.
I have not even finished the first episode.
And it's this amazing moment of realizing that it doesn't matter how accurately you stick to the script of the book, because, like, the first episode of nothing else except for an opening monologue that's completely useless and is
The
3 minutes of Jake staring at the camera.
It's his best acting in the movie. He gets considerably worse as
He, he does, but maybe that was his audition tape and they just needed to
It
fill
has the
the
best
half hour.
song ever, though. It's
But
a great theme song.
it's a good theme song. But I have no idea why they tried to make a sci-fi series that's full of aliens when they have no ability to accurately or compellingly or even shittily representing an alien.
Why wasn't it animated? I want like an Avatar: The Last Airbender style animated series.
Like, that would have actually worked.
Would have been so good. The morphing would have looked awesome. That is one thing. It's like you said, it's a reason why they couldn't do it well. But one thing I really appreciate about Animorphs compared to a lot of other sci-fi is probably the Andalites are her least original species.
Oh, the
Like,
centaur scorpions with 4 eyes. It's a weird design.
It's weird.
It's
But
weird.
that's probably the least creative, but like he puts a lot of thought into the aliens. Like not just appearance, which
Hmm.
for the most part it's not two animals thrown together. I don't even know what the hell a Hork-Bajir is.
Yeah.
It's like
I also remember from the first Andalite Chronicles, the Hork-Bajir have a very interesting backstory.
oh yeah, they're great. There's the Hork-Bajir Chronicles. It's so good. Anyway, and that's how they all got enslaved. It's
Yeah.
sad. But yeah, she doesn't do like humans with bumps on their head, which I'm not knocking Star Trek. They had no money. They did what they
Hmm.
could. But or hell, Avatar, the big blue
James Cameron.
every alien is just two animals smushed together.
It's true. No.
It's
K.A.
like
Applegate has vision, and for everything that dates this series and that show, that vision shines through.
mm-hmm.
And that's
Also
why we're doing this show.
awesome. I mean, they're terrible and horrifying.
They're terrible in the most beautiful, like,
They're
unironic way.
They're
Like,
just like these giant centipedes that eat everything, including themselves. I do
and
remember.
they just squish, like,
Yeah.
ripe tomatoes.
Okay, I think I am minorly spoiling later, but there is a taxon that gets like ripped in half, and then the top half starts eating his bottom half. It was
That's not even a spoiler. I would have guessed that happened at some point. That's amazing.
I know. That's why I think one of the reasons there was not a lot of parental backlash to this series, again, is because all the really good stuff and all the really dark stuff is so buried.
Yeah.
I, my mom had no idea what this series was like. I
Hmm.
had her read the first book. She gave it back to me and said, "It's too violent. I can't finish it. It scares me." I'm like, yeah, yeah, that's fair. But most people are like, "Oh, look, kids turning into animals. How fun!"
I think the covers do give people a bad idea. They're like, "Oh, it's so campy," and tell them like, "You don't know how deep this rabbit hole goes."
The worst covers. First off, um, the models are never the same for a single book.
Some of them are illustrated as well, and some of them are real people. I
Yeah.
noticed that.
Um, there's some real bad CGI.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not even the same race as they were previously. Axe goes from like Mediterranean to white and then like back again. It's really weird.
Well, I would like to say that this was a time, uh, some might say a better time, I would, in which people actually made an effort to show, like, a range of genders, socioeconomic backgrounds, and, like, racial heritage.
Oh, it's very diverse, especially they're not tokenized the way the 90s were a lot.
Hmm.
Like
Because 90s were the time of, like, let's show cool in charge girls and, like, let's have minorities be real people.
mhm. And
But,
I think
yeah, go on.
Marco and Rachel probably are the closest in terms of token girlism and then token beauty.
Italianism?
Well, he's actually Hispanic, but
Okay.
oh, that's a big like he talks about his Hispanic mom a lot.
Alright.
But it's I mean it's not a huge thing. It's just a thing. But typically the token person of color, guy of color, really.
Yeah.
Your pop culture references, cool slang, hip lingo.
Hmm.
And Marco is that to an extent. That's all he is in the show.
Yeah.
That's mostly what he is in this
But
book.
also because
I am going to talk about what I like about him in this book.
the show's actor had the personality and energy of a slab of, like, drywall.
That actor was 18 years old. I could not believe it. I thought he was
Really?
like 30.
Oh dear.
Actors range from 16 to 21. The characters, okay, in this first book, they're 13.
Yeah.
In the last book, they'll be 16.
Okay.
So they're really, really young.
Yes, for the whole range of
Are you getting that?
this. Hmm?
I'm experiencing technical difficulties where I just got a bunch of static.
Okay, I was fixing a cable. I didn't hear it. We can just keep
Okay,
going.
hopefully no one else
Yeah.
did. Anyway, so minor awkward technical
We'll
difficulties.
fade it out.
Okay. But I really appreciate how there's really very little tokenism. It's just they're all just sort of people, and I
Hmm.
like that. The
The
bias
show the
might be
show
a little.
doesn't do it quite so well, where it's very clearly the oh, these are doofus guys, and then the two girls who are brave and kind of have brains in their heads. And then there's
And none of them can
Tobias.
act. Tobias is in the show. Well, in the books,
Hmm.
you can sort of see it in this one. He's like a dweeb. He's like a total loser. He
Yeah.
gets bullied. He idolizes Jake, and like follows him around like a puppy. He's kind of like quiet and sensitive and like, kind of like feminine almost. And then in the show, it was right on the heels of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where there's a love interest angel who is like hot and brooding and wears a
Hmm.
leather jacket and like is emo all the time. And I think they were trying to make Tobias angel, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
So when reading this, I got a lot of Buffy vibes. If nothing else, from the weirdest, like, bit of suspense that I could have imagined. Because, so when they first get the morphing
Came out in the
technology,
same year as Buffy, by the way.
okay,
FYI.
interesting. Because
Started together, which kind of makes sense.
maybe this was just an ear thing, because when they first, like, hear the humans arriving, like, oh man, these people are, like, among us, and he's like, who's that voice? I recognize that voice. And it happens two more times, right?
It
And
was
then the
so
reveal,
subtle.
it's the assistant principal we've never heard about?
Oh, yes, that one. They also imply that it was Tom at one point.
Well, like, that would actually make sense. But what it writes directly is the voice I was hearing had been Vice Principal Skinner. And I'm like, what is it? If it
Well,
was his brother, we would have had some emotional like connection to this, but that it wasn't. That was a separate reveal.
well, I kind of like that as well as it being under the school in that every kid thinks their school is evil. And I
Yeah,
just thought that was kind of cute.
I,
That like your pool is under the school.
that didn't bother. It was just like
Dad is the vice principal.
it was the ongoing. Who is that voice? Without ever having introduced the principal.
That's true.
So
That
it
is a
just,
little weird. But
as a writing choice, it was bizarre.
they try. There is a point I write like that. This is just aggressively unsubtle.
Yeah.
Where okay, so Jake turned into a dog, like you do,
Yes.
and Tom shows up. And this is
Mhm.
in chapter 9 for anyone who cares. But
Page 3. Yes.
yeah. Tom looked down at me. There was a strange smell about him. My dog couldn't quite identify it. It was an unsettling, dangerous smell. And somehow, in my own mind, I heard the echo of a laugh. A very human laugh I had heard the night before as Visser 3 swallowed the Andalite whole. You're like, oh gee, I wonder what that means.
Yeah.
It was like, really? Maybe kids are dumb? Because I
Mhm.
don't remember that ever sticking out as a sore thumb until my 6th read through. But I was just sitting there like, you really could have spaced out that reveal a little better. Because when Marco goes, Tom's a controller, it's like, well, duh.
Yeah. It goes really hard with some things, like when they meet the police officer, Jake has that line where he's saying he could see that
Oh my
blankness behind his eyes.
gosh,
And then in the second half of the story, he's like, there's no way to tell whether the person you know is this. And I'm like, well, apparently you can. You
well,
figured that out.
there is a lot of lore in the first book that does not carry over. Most of
Oh,
it for the better.
okay.
So,
Which is.
most of it involves thought speak.
It
In the
seems a bit hazy in this book.
Yeah, in the first book, thought speak can be used to transmit like images and feelings and stuff
Mm-hmm.
to a person. That stops happening. It's literally just a way of communicating.
That's good.
And then another change that is so much better. It makes for a lot of really great scenes later in the series. You can't thought speak if you're not in Morph or an Andalite.
Yeah,
Like,
because
there's a
that's what
point
I
where
remember
Jake
being a
is
rule.
communicating to Tobias in cat form with his thoughts, and that never happens after this book. Thank
Yeah.
God.
Okay, because that seemed weird to me. I'm glad you explained this changes.
And also, you know how Jake, as the dog, could smell the yerk in Tom? That never happened again.
Yeah.
That would be really easy because then he could just go around as a dog smelling people and he could figure out who he could trust. But
Casey,
that never.
dogs can smell cancer. Dogs know when someone's gonna die in a hospital. Dogs can know about yerks.
Okay, I guess. But I'm really glad that does not come up again. They really do make a point of being like. It also becomes way harder. Like, there's a point where Tom, like, fights through to the yerk and he has. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually. The scene did actually give me chills because it's. These people are good writers, even when they're writing cheese.
Yeah.
But, they really, you can't break a yerk that easily later in the series. It's like that's the
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing you'll do once in your lifetime and then never again.
Yeah. Jeez.
So yeah, so there's some stuff that they give you
Mm-hmm.
that goes away and really, really, really should go away.
Can I be like kind of a killjoy in
Yeah,
like raising a question here?
go for it.
There's like a lot of dancing around. Hey, you guys should come to these sharing meetings, but like there's all this suspicion by Tom against his brother. Like he doesn't really know something's up, but very clearly he's digging at something.
Mm-hmm.
They live in the same house. Why doesn't he just like hide a yerk up his sleeve, walk in the middle of the night, and just infect his brother? It's so much faster than anything, and there's literally no reason to wait.
That is a good point. Um, you do get the sense again later in the series that Tom's York is not the brightest. Very ambitious, not that smart.
That's
I
good.
think trying to defend it on a more logistical level, Yerks can survive for a very short time in water,
Okay, but look,
but they're slugs.
you
So if he
need.
had it in his sleeve, it would dry out, and then you would just have Yerk dust you're trying to shove into Jake's ear.
No, because you get like a little tube with, the ion rays. The Freon, you literally just get a vial. You're an alien species. You need to be ready to like transport these short distances. This is
Taylor, what if Jake
practical.
locks his bedroom door? What are you gonna do then?
Honestly, if Jake just says I lock my door at night now, I'd be so much happier.
So I will admit the invasion would go way faster if they just did that.
If they just infected families.
Yeah. Or even if they were just a little more forceful about it.
Yeah, because there's no reason to wait.
Kidnap people off the side of the road.
You could literally just start doing that. It
That
would.
is actually what Visser 3 wants to do. Actually, no, what Visser 3 wants to do is blow up everyone.
That seems impractical.
He is being kept in check by Visser 1.
Mm-hmm. Who's like, hey, they have
A lot more
hands.
cautious. Perhaps too cautious. This is, you pointing this out, this is sort of a plot hole that never gets addressed.
I mean,
just-
it's the conceit that actually allows for the series. So
That's fair. Also, like, why is Visser 3 so dumb? He has to be.
yeah.
They do make fun of it by the end of the series. He's basically a laughingstock of the Yerk world, but, like,
Which
he's
is
really
okay.
dumb right now. And he's so goofy. It is time. Time to die.
Yeah, as she just like morphs into these giant things and just it's super impractical. He's shooting
Oh.
fireballs out of his 8 heads, and I'm like, I don't remember this being
How does
just
that species
sci-fi original movie showdown.
Visser 3 morphed into a Sharknado? Ugh.
They have sentient tornadoes on the.
It is fascinating how evil they make the Yerks, understandably,
Mhm.
in the beginning, versus. I mean, they still like you still want to just defeat them because like they're all like human slaverying,
Hmm.
but they become a lot more nuanced later. There's no nuance
No,
in
I think that's an important transition though, because you don't want to start introducing nuance in these short books that early,
that's
because
fair.
there's so little space, and the kids don't want nuance. They
True.
have they have these alien slugs taking over their loved ones. That's black and white. And as you say, this series gets a lot darker, a lot more complex and serious. So too should the representations of the enemy themselves.
Hmm. I have to say, I know we're not a fan of him as of yet.
Hmm.
I think Marco provides the most nuance in this book. Because
In
Tobias
this
is very
book,
much, we have to do this because this is right. And Rachel is following along because she has a crush on this dweeb for some reason.
yeah,
And even Cassie is like, well, I don't like violence, but this is the right. They're all very like, this is the right thing to do, so let's do it.
I like Cassie, but she is absolutely white bread. Her entire character descriptors are she likes animals more than people, and
Hmm.
she tries to deflate any situation.
Yes, she becomes way more interesting. They all become way more interesting. But yes, um, she will always be very sensitive and very emotional.
Hmm.
And sometimes that will almost get everyone killed.
And Jake likes her hair.
I liked that. Okay, I have a whole rant on my blog. In the show, she has really long hair and they make her way more feminine. And it's like, but Jake liked her even though she's not a stereotypical woman. And Rachel liked Tobias even though he's not a stereotypical masculine dude. Whatever.
Okay.
I don't think they were making a statement by doing that, but I liked it. Anyway, not the point.
No,
He's a bit just
we
the
are
reason
coming back to
I
that. But
think-
Marco,
yes. So yes, he is the reluctant one, the complainer. But he's not just a coward.
he's pragmatic.
First off, he will always be pragmatic. He will
That's
always
fine.
be the one who the others don't like because he's pragmatic. And he's going to poop on their parade every single time. And sometimes it's because he's ruthless. And sometimes it's because he doesn't want them to do something. But he's always going to be that guy. I kind of like him being the voice of fuck this just because I think that's kind of entertaining.
Hmm.
But
I might be frowning about it, but it's important that we have one of those on the team.
yeah, because otherwise, I mean, if everyone was just like, rah, rah, let's
Gung-ho,
put our
yeah.
hands in the middle and woo, it would be ridiculous.
It wouldn't be nearly the critical text that it becomes.
Yes. Except none of the critics cared about it. It's just
Well, I
us.
mean, it itself is critical of institutions and whatnot.
Oh, yes, I see what you mean. But, yeah, I like that he's willing to be like, you can think I'm a coward. I mean, okay. I'm not doing it.
Mhm.
And I just thought that was cool.
It is.
He's a good guy.
I
Well-
want to talk about love interests right now
Okay.
because you explained the pairings. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Um.
Technically, Axe and Marco are not a pairing. They hang out a lot because they're the leftovers, and I ship them, but no one else does.
At the very least, they can be best bros.
Yeah, they're bromance, definitely.
Okay.
They live together for a while. It's great.
That's wonderful. But what I need to bring this conspiracy theory to the forefront right now. This
Okay.
can't wait till another episode.
Okay.
Jake is absolutely, totally in love with his cousin Rachel.
Ew! What? No.
Yes.
That's disgusting. I'm pretty sure it's illegal. Is that legal in California?
First cousins? Probably.
Well, that's horrifying.
I don't
So-
think Rachel's in love with him. I think he's in love with Rachel. So my basic points here, and I'm sure I'll collect more as we go on. When Rachel is first introduced, so Jake is narrating, points out she is pretty twice.
Okay, anyway, sorry.
Points out she's pretty twice before he even gets to Cassie, who comes second. And all he has nice to say about Cassie is that he likes her hair more when it's short than when
And-
it was long.
To be fair, short is very un-Rachel-like. But finish your point, and then I'll tell you why you're wrong.
So all I'm saying right here is that while Cassie, lovely girl, absolutely deserving of affection, I think he is probably subconsciously deferring his affections that cannot be fulfilled of Rachel onto her best friend. So whenever he is feeling those things for Rachel, he can just say, oh no, I'm actually just thinking this about her best friend who's standing right next to her. They don't have
I,
anything in common, him and Cassie. They just sit in silence on the bus.
to be fair, I mean, is that not middle school romance in a nutshell?
I'm just saying, he seems to have a lot of nice things to say about Rachel. Her being brave, her being talented, her being an excellent runner.
I am very interested to see how that theory will develop over the course of the series.
Is that a genuine interest?
No,
Or
yeah, I
okay,
swear, if you find a way to make that plausible, I'm going to be so mad at you.
okay.
And Cassie are like the cutest. Shut up.
Hmm.
So no, anyway, I would find that really compelling if it weren't for the fact that literally every book, the first thing they're going to say about Rachel is that she's pretty. Every
Hmm.
time. Cassie's going to say it. Marco's going to say it. Axe is going to say that people tell her she's pretty, but he's an Andalite, so he doesn't care.
So yeah, sure, this is the her one of her defining traits, but that's still the first character to say that. First book of the series is her cousin. By the way, do we ever know how they are directly related?
I
Like
think
who's
I think they share a last name, so that would make me think
okay. So I'm
through.
wondering maybe they are like, this is my cousin's cousin, so like once removed. But you
Okay,
could still call them cousins.
I don't know how family works. I'm confused.
So like, what I'm saying is they could not have blood relation,
It's possible.
but they're still like cousins. They live in the same area. It
No,
makes it a little more okay for Jake to love her, but still
that's fair.
taboo in his society.
I could go with a crush. I think if he loves her at this point, that's gonna die real fast.
It's
But
possible.
I will be interested to see what other evidence you bring up because at the actually no, throughout the series, they really, really like, and I think it was because it was a 90s thing, they really like justifying, oh, she's so pretty and fashionable and girly, and she will murder you. And I
Yeah,
think that is just a really like
it's
pretty
the
girl who kicks ass.
it's
Pretty
the
girl.
second wave pushback.
Yeah. Of the like girly girls can be kick butt too.
Mm-hmm. Like
But
Buffy and her skirts doing high kicks. That where the camera doesn't show her underwear. It was revolutionary.
there are so many problems with that show, but I love it so much. That's not relevant right now though.
Much like Animorphs, its heart was always in the right place.
Yes, I think
I
probably.
think so too. I never watched the first season, so it could be bad.
First season's it's not bad. Xander is just the worst, but I mean, Xander becomes the worst until like season 5, so
And then he quickly becomes the worst again in like season 6.
yeah. No, season 7. Season 6 he
Season
talks
7.
down Evil Willow.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So season 3 to season 6, Xander. Great.
Yeah. No, that's Xander's shining moments. Um,
Unlike Animorph seasons 1 and 2, which are always terrible.
I am so excited. I am actually so I keep stopping to make notes, and
Hmm.
I am blogging way too much about this. It's going to be really like it's going to be like a 5,000 word blog on like the first
Wonderful.
episode. But anyway, um, I'm finding it oddly charming.
The
Like,
first episode I got through. Second one, I was just desperate for an excuse to leave, and I was doing other things while I was watching it.
okay, I will look forward to that because like I'm finding this bad. Obviously, it's
Hmm.
unquestionably bad, but it's kind of enjoyable in its badness. In like a, oh, this reminds me of the '90s.
Okay, well, let's
So
compare. We're going to discuss book 1 in this. Like, this is relevant. Episode 2 is them all learning how to morph, which is them standing in a barn with agonizingly long transitional scenes of
That's
them
because
morphing.
they want to show you their great technology.
In the book, this is some absurd, balls to the wall series of montages of them being chased through a zoo by guards and
Does that
lions and
happen?
through hallways.
That doesn't happen in the show?
No, like I said, it's them standing in a barn.
Wait,
Cassie's barn with montages of llamas.
okay, the llamas are awesome, but are you telling me that Jake does not at any point sit on a tiger's face?
Is that how we're phrasing it?
That's how we're phrasing it. Absolutely.
He does not.
Well, okay, that's really upsetting because
Yes.
that was a great part of the book.
So,
I
no.
don't think he acquires the tiger with his butt, but I wish he had.
That that was a weird scene in the
It
book.
was
Like it was laughably bizarre because like it completely dispenses that there's any likelihood of them being caught. It's like
well,
no, we just lost them in the crowd.
oh yeah, no, they
Like
do that. They get way better at being sneaky. The fact that they were not discovered in the Yerk pool, like she's Cassie morphs in the middle of a crowd. How did none of those people who get recaptured like not notice that and
right.
recognize her face? Like
It's,
like really?
it's convenient at the time.
Yes. Um and yeah, they get a lot less stupid about it.
Hmm.
Like morphing in a locker was really stupid.
That was weird.
But I mean, I guess they're
It's gonna be
done.
really hard to get his clothes back.
I
He can't
mean,
morph back to human in there and get changed.
true, but he can like presumably this is his locker, so he can just go back the next day and like open.
Naked. Oh, I guess he can
There's
like
other
run
clothes.
through half of town in his underwear. Yes.
Okay, maybe he lives like right next door.
I'm glad that was a fade to black there because I'm like, this is just gonna be dumb if we need to get out of this.
Yeah, sometimes this is very good about looking away or fading to black before it gets stupid.
Hmm.
And it sort of lets you ignore the stupid, and I respect that.
It's true. Like
I
they
run
they
all the
aren't.
way back home as a
Yeah.
lizard. Do you think it would take more than 2 hours to get home in lizard form?
Yeah, I do.
Anyway,
He'd
so
have to like unmorph in bushes and things.
it's
I
a little goofy, but I think it
yeah.
was a case of we'd had a lot of talking and a lot of moralizing,
Hmm.
and a lot of angst, and it was just like, let's have an action scene.
Yeah, I think this
That's
book,
fun.
as I said before, amazingly like active. Like it's well paced, and
Basically, what-
every part of it was actually relevant. That was amazing to me reading a kid's book. None of it was filler.
Wait, what do
Even
you mean?
like none of the scenes in this book were unnecessary. All of them had a clear point and thing that was being driven towards. It's like even when it was like silliness of zoo chase sequences, those were all important things of okay, let's find these animals. Let's find out what the sharing is. Let By the way, the sharing horribly unsubtle name for the Yerks, and as you have explained, they're really bad at their jobs.
Oh yeah,
But
they're
they don't
terrible.
even
I
try to
think
pass
the only
themselves
reason
off as like a
they
Christian
formal with
wellness
them.
group.
I'm sorry, what?
Like, with a name like the Sharing, I thought their cover up would be like, hey, we're a Christian hangout group. This is like a community thing. You should come be hip kids together. Because that's the sort of thing, like, the Sharing would be.
Like a cult, yes.
Well, not even like a cult. It's like the after school
Okay, yeah.
Christian organization. Look, I went to an Episcopalian school. This is like
Okay.
something that I'm at least aware of tangentially, is they would have these groups.
Okay.
But
Well,
no explanation is given in the world, and it's just like police officers are showing up to the barbecue and talking to the kids, and that's the Sharing.
so they will, at some point, I don't know if they do it in this book, they compare it to Boy and Girl Scouts, which, gotta be real, Boy and Girl Scouts were never this big and popular and had so many adults in them, but okay. Um,
And I guess what throws me off more is that like parents would have an issue with this. They would find their children's actions to be suspicious. Because not all of these parents are converted.
Yeah,
Tom's parents have to be like, are you on drugs, son? You've lost interest in all of your teams and hobbies.
they assume it's a girl. His dad knows these things.
I guess it's true. It
That's
is
a
like
direct quote.
dumb 90s parents.
Yeah, they're dumb '90s parents.
They're dumb 90s parents. I should have known better.
They will never be. Um, they can't do the Christian thing. Applegate. I'm not sure if she's agnostic or what, but she was very, very specific. I think there is one reference like Jake's family prays once because he's Jewish, but like
Hmm.
religion is really not a thing in these books.
I
You
am
know,
overall in favor
metaphysical,
of that.
which is kind of nice. Even like I'm Christian, Christian books suck. I
Yeah.
was really nice. It was great not to be preached at ever.
And it's hard to even reference some things without feeling like you need to come down on one side or the other.
I, I mean, friggin' Harry Potter. Like, I mean, the fact that that got such a witch hunt,
uh,
despite not having anything anti-religious at all. Like,
hmm.
so she was just. I think they were very careful to not mention anything, yay or nay, and just be like, all right,
That
we're
is good.
keeping this stuff strictly whatever the opposite of metaphysical is, like I guess just regular physical.
Hmm.
But yeah,
And no, you are absolutely right. If that was even said, oh, we're a vague yet, um,
Christians are the bad
no,
guys.
like we're a vague religious
Yeah.
community group, that would definitely seem like she's driving an allegory home.
Oh yeah. And I mean if anyone ever actually read these books enough to find that
Hmm.
buried in them, I mean that could have like killed the series.
That's
Especially
true.
the 90s were not awful about
I
religious
I feel like
freedom,
PTA groups were gaining a lot of traction
yes.
with like reading lists and banning stuff.
Yeah, I feel like the 90s were pretty ban happy.
The 90s were a wild time of just everything we read. We're touching on just so many like great and terrible highs and lows.
Yeah, the 90s were weird. They were just like a little of everything. Like every genre is just a little of everything.
So much color to it, though. I like to imagine our cast generally in windbreakers.
Yes. I have some pictures of my parents in the 90s, and there was a lot of geometric shapes, like
Hmm.
on clothes. Like their clothes look like the Saved by the Bell background.
What I did like about this show, episode one, was the arcade and just how amazingly terrible everything was in it.
Why did they let a dog in the arcade? Why was the dog there? There was no reason for the dog to be there.
Because the dog needed to be in the second scene.
No, it didn't.
Well, he
They,
needed to run off and, like, lure them in.
no, it didn't. In the book, they just decide to do it, and it's great. And I could go on about the thematic importance, but I feel like we're coming up on time.
Yeah, no, I agree. They
But there
didn't need
is
the dog.
thematic importance. Okay, screw it. Sorry, we're
Yeah,
running a
go
little
on.
over. So
They've walked
I
into
feel
that
like
themselves.
in the book, yes, they know that they're told not to do it, that it's dangerous.
Hmm.
That is basically their deciding to cut through is the last time they do something irresponsible because they feel like, well,
There are
I'm
no
going to live forever.
consequences. Oh,
And
I
then
like this.
and then that's why my master's thesis was on loss of innocence, because that is like the last truly innocent thing they do, and then it causes them to suddenly be afraid all the time and have to really like get this huge responsibility. It's basically the last thing they do as kids, which I guess
Hmm.
chasing after your dog is kind of another thing you do as a kid, but it's not as carefree, I guess, or careless.
It isn't balanced and paralleled by the then we all need to make a choice to fight against this.
Also,
Not
Tobias is weirdly creepy in that
Oh
scene.
god, it was really weird.
Anyway.
I just wanted to avoid that one. But no, because like you said, they made the choice because they felt like there were no consequences to just doing something innocent and
Hmm.
supposedly dangerous. This is them saying this is dangerous and we're doing it because we need to. So
Yes.
that I do like that reading of it. That's good for
Thematic
you, K.A.
importance.
Applegate.
I know.
You wrote something with thought and intent.
And no one remembers it.
Who
Sorry.
remembers that? Wow.
Hey, I am seriously considering. So I'm a master's in English, all the many people who are still watching this. And I have to write a thesis. I might make it on Animorphs.
I
I'm gonna
think you
try to
should.
try to find a way to work that. If Taylor wrote one on Series of Unfortunate Events, which he still hasn't let me read.
Oh,
Um,
I'll send that to you.
yeah, do it. But yeah, so I'm basically out of stuff to talk about. I thought this was way goofier and cheesier than I remember,
Mm-hmm.
but it was really enjoyable and there was still a lot of good there.
It's intense
I'm
as well.
happy. Yeah. Kids books were not at least, well, so you might not have had this experience. Kids books for girls. I
Mm-hmm.
read so many pony books and
Yeah.
historical princesses and God, more ponies. There were so many ponies. I hate horses, and I had to read so
Mm-hmm.
many pony books because that's all there
Wow.
were. And so it was really exciting. First off, this is not really aimed at boys, which is nice. I mean,
It doesn't seem like it's driving towards either gender.
no, I mean, when, what, like, okay, I guess it's only one third, but still, when a third of your series is narrated by women, like,
It's
that's
not
pretty
just the
cool.
token girl, it's two girls.
Yeah, and they have really important like roles to play and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But yeah, no, this was the first time I feel like I read a book that could be sort of aimed at me, and it wasn't pink.
And it
There
didn't
was actual
condescend.
thing
For all
happening.
of its goofiness, it never condescends to the reader.
No, it does not moralize. The only time I felt I was being a little pushed in one direction was like they kept going on. I think this was just a case of lore not carrying through.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I felt like I'd known Elfinger forever. He gave us his like Elfinger's basically Jesus,
Yeah,
and
I
like
think they also just really needed to give that strong kick at the beginning so they don't have a, well, how do we know anything you're saying is true? They just
that's
needed
fair.
to get over that.
That is fair. Okay,
Can't slow
I
down,
can
dude's
respect it
bleeding
on
out.
that
Let's
level.
have the scene.
Yes, that was the only time reading it where I was like, okay,
The
I get it.
3D photo of his family where Jake's like, I suddenly understood him as a person and it like hurt so much more. I was like, that was
Yes,
unnecessary.
that was so
We
funny.
didn't need that.
It's so exciting though because we get to meet one of them. I'm so excited.
Oh,
Axe is one of my favorite characters.
there's so much to read, and this was only book one.
Oh, I know, and it's so hard because it's like, wait until book 4, wait until book 19, wait until book 52.
Yeah, wow.
Ugh.
At least we have enthusiasm. That might get us through this, and
At least I fed you one of the first major spoilers within the first like 5 minutes of the podcast. So you're welcome, everybody. Sorry about that.
uh, you know,
And
you flash your co-star early just to get the awkwardness out of the way.
okay, I think we should probably wind it up.
Yeah, I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, so we're probably what gonna do like like maybe two of these a month ish, maybe,
We might be able
depending
to do
on how much you
more, we
have.
might have to do less. I want to get at least two in a month.
Yes, agreed. It's the nice thing is these are really
They're
short.
super short.
Yeah, no, I think I read Harry Potter before this, and I sat down with these, and I'm like, look how fast it is.
Like the
But yeah.
exposition's just flying by.
Oh yeah, no, I would go to like my brother's football game and bring like a stack of 4 of these and just read them over the 2 hours. It was great. Um, so yeah, hopefully. Um,
Yeah, look
yeah.
forward to episode 2.
Oh, and if you go to thedrunklibrarian.wordpress.com, I will be writing absurdly long blog posts, mostly doing goofy, super in detail snarkathons about the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll also make just little mini posts with these videos in them, but also just expanding on any more feelings I feel like I did not get out there.
Yeah, and
I won't talk about Taylor's feelings at all because he has his own blog. He can blog about his feelings
I
somewhere
don't
else if he
blog.
wants to. Right.
I have a Twitter. I complain
Yeah,
about
you can
things there, I
twit.
guess. Yeah, and if you came to this by way of Casey's blog, you can find more book discussions with things on Bibliomancy for Beginners on YouTube or other social media sites where we have an ongoing book club, and Casey is on for quite a few of those series.
Yes, I'm not sure if they're more meandering or less
They're
meandering.
more meandering, I'd say,
Yeah.
because there are four people's thoughts.
So if you really like the parts where we get off topic and just sort of start chatting, we do that a lot. So, I mean, it's cool. I'm saying this as a good thing. It doesn't really sound like a good thing as it's coming out of my mouth, but it is. I'll stop talking now.
I mean, once you start shouting out social links in like a podcast or a video, everyone stops listening and
Oh,
like,
that's
turns it
fair.
off. So it doesn't matter. This is fine.
Hitler
This
had
is a
some good ideas.
exactly. This is a safe space, Casey. No one will ever get there.
I would just like to say, I do not believe Hitler had good ideas. Just so you know.
That being said, this might be the perfect time to be discussing, like Hitler survived World War II. He went down to his colony in Antarctica. The US fought him in a naval battle. It's a Hollow Earth conspiracy too.
Why wouldn't they tell us that they were fighting Hitler? I feel like that.
Because we needed the world to think he was dead to prevent a panic. The
Oh, I
war
see.
had to be over.
See, I think one of my favorite conspiracy theories is that we never landed on the moon. We faked it to humiliate the Soviets.
I think that would actually be kind of funny, but unnecessary.
Yeah. And I mean, something about steel beams. I don't remember the actual thing. But,
Jet fuel can't
George
melt
Bush did
steel
9/11
beams,
and all
but
that.
it does bend steel beams. George Bush had nothing to do with 9/11. Dick Cheney, however,
Yeah,
literally an empire of evil unto himself, so he might have led to some things.
pretty sure he's Bowser.
I don't know, Bowser plays tennis with a gang in a
That's true.
non-violent sort of way.
I don't see Dick Cheney playing tennis.
You know what sports he does?
Shooting.
Yeah.
Shooting
Senators.
people.
He shoots senators.
It's like the Hunger Games. Dick Cheney is starting the Hunger Games. You heard it here first. Thank God no one is listening anymore. Okay, I am leaving.
All right,
Ugh,
tune in
this was
to
a lot of
Fun
fun,
Fact
Tyler.
Science Corner next time.
Oh, God.
Casey, this was
Two
a
English
lot of
majors
fun.
talk about science. Chemistry is science, right?
Yeah, it is actually.
Okay.
That's a thing.
All right.
I had a lot of fun. I really look forward to the next episode.
Yes, same.
All right, maybe
All
we
right,
should do one in
bye.
4 days.
Yeah.
Just churn them out while we can.
Until
Anyway.
we die of exhaustion and then don't do another one for 6 months. Yeah.
Sure, that sounds like fun. All right.
Are we still recording?
No, until
Oh,
next
thank God.
time.